So, what if we just took one single day out of the calendar and put it under a microscope? That's what we're going to do today. We're looking at just 24 hours, November 24th, 2025. A day where you've got high stakes politics, global crises, and some, well, truly bizarre headlines all crashing into each other. Let's see if we can make some sense out of all the noise.
This one phrase, pulled from the reporting on that day, it really just says it all, doesn't it? It's the perfect way to set the tone. This idea of intense political friction is like a thread that runs through almost every single story we're about to look at. It captures this global mood of tension that you could just feel in the air.
And to see that friction in action, you really don't have to look any further than the United States. So our first stop is Washington, D.C., a city that, on this particular day, is pretty much frozen solid. So right now, the U.S. is in the middle of what's being called the longest government shutdown in its entire history. And this isn't just some political fight you see on TV. It has very real consequences. We're talking about huge disruptions at airports all over the country. And why? Because there just aren't enough air traffic controllers showing up to work. So how did it get this bad? Well, it's a complete and total stalemate. You've got Democrats putting forward plans, trying to find a way out of this mess. And on the other side, Republicans are reportedly just shutting it all down, calling the proposals non-starters. It's a classic political standoff, and honestly, nobody seems to know how it's going to end. But believe it or not, the shutdown isn't the only fire burning in Washington. The tensions between the Trump administration and the press, which, let's be honest, have been simmering for a long time, have just absolutely boiled over because of one really ugly incident. Yeah, this one word. This is what set everything off. There are reports that President Trump was recorded on Air Force One using this slur, piggy, to talk about a reporter. As you can imagine, the comment has just ignited a massive firestorm of outrage, and it's pretty much all anyone in politics is talking about. And if that wasn't enough, you've got the administration kicking into overdrive with a flood the zone media strategy, trying to distract everyone. They're also dealing with tough questions about the Epstein files, and at the same time, making new threats about military action overseas. It's just a constant torrent of news designed to keep everyone off balance. And then, right in the middle of all this chaos, bam, a huge crack appears in the Republican Party. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was once one of the president's strongest supporters, has just announced she's resigning from Congress. This is a big deal. Now, her official reason is that she wants to spare her district a hurtful and hateful primary. But this comes right after a very public, very messy falling out she had with the administration over policy. It really just shows you how deep the fractures are running on the political right. Okay, let's take a breath and zoom out from Washington for a second, because on this very same day, there are some massive stories shaping the rest of the world. At this very moment, leaders from all over the globe are in Brazil for the COP30 climate summit. These talks are considered absolutely critical for the future of the planet. But you can't make this stuff up. The summit has been dealing with its own emergencies, including an actual fire that broke out at the conference venue. It's like a perfect, if terrifying, metaphor for the very crisis they're there to solve. And just to put into perspective what's at stake here, look at this number, 1 degree Celsius. That's it. New data shows that's how much warming we could prevent if countries just followed through on the promises they've already made. It's a real, tangible goal, but it's threatened by the exact same kind of political friction we're seeing everywhere else. Meanwhile, things are getting really tense on the military front. The U.S. has just confirmed a huge missile sale to Taiwan, which of course got a very angry response from Beijing. At the same time, Russia is claiming that recent strikes from Ukraine were carried out using missiles supplied by the U.S., which just throws more fuel on that fire. Okay, so we've got government shutdowns, global conflicts, climate emergencies, and then you have this. In a story that could only come from Australia, a prisoner is literally suing for his human right to Vegemite. He's arguing that the prison banning the stuff is a violation of his cultural rights. It's just this moment of complete surreal absurdity and a day of very heavy news. All right, so beyond all the big, high-stakes drama, the regular pulse of global news just keeps on beating. Let's do a quick lightning round of some other headlines that were breaking around the world. Over in India, a really serious situation is unfolding. The investigation into a deadly blast in Delhi is getting wider. Authorities have arrested several people, and that now apparently includes some religious figures, as the country's top investigators take over the case. And we've also got some very sad news from the food world. The culinary community is mourning the loss of Skye Gyngell. She was a true trailblazer, the very first Australian woman to ever be awarded a Michelin star. She passed away in London at the age of 62. And to round things out on a lighter note, over in the world of entertainment, the Miss Universe pageant has crowned its new winner, wrapping up a competition that, as always, got a ton of buzz online.
So, what do you do with all of that, right? We've jumped from political gridlock to climate talks, from global conflicts to cultural headlines, all in a single 24-hour period. How on earth do you find the signal in all of that noise?
It really brings us to this big question. On any given day, we're just bombarded with stories that are incredibly serious, some that are deeply human, and others that are, well, just plain bizarre. How are we supposed to process all of that? How do you make sense of a world that's constantly throwing this chaotic mix of information at you? When you boil it all down, the story of this one day is just this surreal mix of the huge and the tiny. It's a day that was truly defined by gridlock, glamour, and, yes, Vegemite. And maybe that's the point. This is the modern news cycle, a constant, chaotic stream that always leaves us on edge, just trying to figure out what really matters.